Hi, I'm Anna.
And I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we are watching the last available episode to us of Attack on Titan, which is Season 4, Episode 28, actually, this time. I messed up last intro and said 28 when it was 27.
But it's okay, you did it right all the other times that you had to say it last episode.
That's true, yeah, when it didn't matter,
Full
right?
length, end of the episode, all of that.
Last episode was great. I really enjoyed last episode. The animation was top tier. I loved just breaking down and rewatching the animation even when I was editing it. I'm very nervous going into this next episode because, I don't know, we've been watching this show so often for so long that it always feels weird when this kind of thing happens, but...
Some sort of closer.
But I think for every type of video we've ever done on the channel or any show that we've watched, this is the one that feels weird, most weird to come to its end on Crunchyroll, you know?
Yes.
I don't want to wait for any more. I know that the majority of people who watched Attack on Titan had to wait season to season, and we're very blessed for that. But still, I don't know. It feels weird. I think that you and I are on the same boat that Flock might be on, which is that we think Flock might be on the hangar or the plane or the boat as a stowaway, potentially.
And we think that because we feel like there has to be one more challenge or obstacle narratively before a possible meeting with Eren or catching up with Eren.
Yeah.
And I think we both thought, you know, it could be possible that falling into the water after being shot wasn't necessarily a death sentence for Flock.
It was a big fall, but Flock's tenacious.
Yes.
If there's one thing Flock is, it is tenacious.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's very much like a Yelena type character. I feel like we thought maybe he'd also be a part or want to see kind of the world that Eren is trying to create.
Yeah. Theo and Keith met their end last episode, but on their own terms.
Yes.
And it was extremely manly and extremely badass, and I loved it. We also ended off with an after-credit scene of Annie expressing how she feels, and that she kind of lost her will to fight, or her reason to fight in this instance, and then asked Mikasa again, would you be willing to kill Eren? And it was a very interesting place to leave off. I don't really know what to expect out of this next episode, especially if there's nothing after it at the moment, you know?
I think Annie's her words in the end of the last episode, that last credit scene, I think summed up probably how all of the characters feel, that are we willing to kill and continue to kill when we don't want to be killing in the first place and we don't want to kill anymore, even Eren?
I believe we're going to Odiha to get to a hangar. Yeah. But other than that, I don't know. I'm ready to get into it. Nervous, scared, excited. You ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. Maybe he's always been like that. I'm assuming this is when they first infiltrated.
Maybe.
Fucking, yeah, Sasha's there.
They all look so
God,
good.
I know.
They're
look at Levi.
terrific.
Oh, look at all. Everybody looks so good.
And they all have different colors, too. It's perfect.
Let's go scout.
Wow.
Little change of tone, you know.
Yeah. Why are we getting this now?
I mean, this is the place that's about to be destroyed, no?
Oh.
We got that little sequence of Jean remembering drinking with somebody last episode that didn't look familiar. On Young Capone. God. I'm so glad we get to see this.
Look at him blushing. I hope they do. Oh, mirroring.
She's drooling a little bit. Jean like caves in.
Oh, he thinks he's a kid!
Because he's short. Looks like Pennywise. Oh!
Wow.
Holy shit, dude.
Blood test.
Wow.
In their midst.
Come on, Sasha.
Wow.
And he stole it. This brings so much back from when the Azumabitos first met with Willie, you know? Where'd he go? Wow.
This is the person that they drank with, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is. God, I'm gonna
Wow.
cry, dude.
Look at it! There
God
it is!
damn it, dude. Have we ever seen our gang get proper drunk before?
No.
I love the score.
We're having a big party. Come on,
God,
everyone.
all these people are gonna die, dude. Look at how
Look
fancy
at him
Aaron
just
looks.
being so comfortable with them. It feels a comparison, a connection, but still. Oh, she's puking. Forced it. We can't speak to them. You need an enemy.
What logic?
That
Wow. Probably, right?
Maybe.
Everything comes after this.
Flock really was there.
Wow. Historia? Wow. Hate-filled history along...
And just completely start over.
What?
He was gonna erase.
Talking about Ackermans?
So we don't know for sure. Oh!
Global Combined Fleet.
Seems like they finally believed the Eldians. Their own eyes, they saw it. They felt it. They're swimming!
That's not how I
thought they would walk on the bottom!
Oh!
The heat!
What the fuck? All right, that was Attack on Titan season 4 episode 28. That felt like it was like an hour long almost.
Yeah,
it felt like it was like 45 minutes.
It was intense. like, obviously what happened at the very, very end was probably only like a couple minutes, but it felt, I think because of the weight it held and the pacing and when there was speaking and when there wasn't, like the choice of when to have the certain audio, for some reason all of that made it feel the weight of it like it almost spanned a longer period of time than a few minutes.
Like, there are a lot of times that we sit down and try to make sense of things and think about how things would work for hours at a time on camera in regards to Attack on Titan. And for some reason in my head, like, I had just defaulted to, like, I never thought about it. And I never even, like, I never thought about it because it's extremely obvious how, like, vast the ocean is, how deep the ocean is. Like, how there's more, what's the very common thing everybody says nowadays? We've explored more of space than the ocean, percentage-wise. But, like, I had this, like, just not thinking about it vision of just, oh yeah, you can almost see, like, the Titans' heads after, like, as they're walking on the bottom of the water. Yeah. Even though, obviously, that makes no sense based off of their actual size. But seeing them swim has got to be one of the most surreal things I have ever seen in my entire life.
Like, I really was, for some reason, I never imagined a visual of all of these colossal-sized Titans just, you know, kind of just kicking.
Yeah.
You know, swimming in the ocean. Like, I never imagined a visual that is actually kind of comedic and funny in a way and how it looks or how you can imagine it. I imagined this just, like, as we've talked about, this sweeping across the globe, and I almost imagined that sweeping also, you know, just staying on land, feet walking, even if it's under the water. I just imagined that. But if I do think about, not only are they not as tall, where I could see their head walking across the ocean, like, for some reason, in my head, I think I saw something similar to you.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, we know from Hanji how incredibly light these things actually are.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm like, oh, of course they're not heavy enough to walk on the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah. I wonder what them being in the water does to, like...
To the water.
To the water and the ecosystem. Like, does it heat the water up to a point of, like, it burn you to the touch because of all the steam?
Probably. I feel like...
It's such a big body of water, though, but there are so many Titans. I don't know.
Like, Aaron's mission isn't to kill all creatures. So I think, luckily, the animals of the ocean, the sea creatures, are built with instincts that can, like, detect, like, changes in temperature. Like, they probably all fled. They're, like, somewhere else on the globe right now.
Once the Titans were getting blown to bits, there's obviously food there.
You know...
There's some sharks.
Yeah.
You know.
We could have seen some sharks swimming around, but the heat... I mean, we didn't really know what the heat situation was going to be until we literally saw skin melt off of people. So that was... And then obviously once the boats hit the water, that's when you really, like, learn how hot the water probably is.
Yeah. You know, like, the whole adage or thought that we've had in the past, like, season or two, it's like, oh, if there is a world outside of the walls, and then once we learned that there was, what, the development of technology would inevitably get to the point, quote unquote, that it would leave Titans, you know, useless to
obsolete, a point. Yeah,
obsolete,
to a point.
There you go.
Which it was happening in Marley when they were fighting in that war that we started the season off with. They had the anti-Titan.
Because there's the difference, though. Like, we saw it versus people with the power of the Titans, not this.
Not this crazy, insurmountable obstacle. What's Levi supposed to do? He can't even swing across and slice all those napes.
Well, you don't have to slice all of them. You just have to slice Eren, right?
Yeah.
That being said, what the fuck is Eren? Like, it's truly, like, it's very unsettling, and I don't like how pointy his ears are, and I don't like how his lips look. And his hair looks very greasy or wet.
Yeah, I don't love how he looks either, but I think that I need to go back and ask a question. are we sure that about the napes of the neck, are we sure that just slicing Aaron's would stop all of these Titans from continuing their march? Because I am not sure that would actually
I don't
work.
know if the will would...
They've already been given their mission.
They've been given their order, but in my mind, at least, how I'm making sense of it, not necessarily the truth, is that Aaron is controlling them right now. And if Aaron is controlling them right now, and then Aaron's control stops, then their orders would stop at the same time. Like, that's at least how I'm thinking of it.
Or unless they're just given an order and they don't stop until they're told to stop.
Or until the order's finished out.
Yeah. So that's what I'm wondering. Is that a final battle we're supposed to be seeing? Is that we can't just, stop Aaron. We have to stop all of these other Titans. That's just a possibility
that
to put out
seems impossible.
there. I know, it seems like an even bigger... it's not an emotional obstacle, it's a physical obstacle at that point. Because obviously killing Aaron or stopping Aaron is an emotional obstacle.
Yeah, I... Like, thinking narratively, right? We could end up in a better world if the potential threat of all of these giant Titans were eradicated, but it just seems so unrealistic to be able to kill all of them.
That's why I was like, is Levi in his injured state supposed to just use all of them like the Titans that Zeke had lined up in Perfect Game?
There's too many. There's just too many.
The heat, how do you even get close?
Great question.
So I just wanted to put that question out there because I don't know if Aaron is stopped. Does that stop all of these other Titans?
Where is Aaron? Is he in the nape of the skeleton? He looks like a centipede.
It could be that there's at least a neck with flesh on it.
He almost looks like, like the face stealer from Avatar: The Last Airbender?
I despise how this looks. Why is his hair so long? Like you said, why does it look greasy? Like, there's a lot of this that is a stuff of nightmares.
Yeah.
Which I think it should have been. It needed to be scary, but... Wow.
It's interesting that it seems like... Do you think Aaron's here right now because he wants to be, or do you think he has to be this close to control them?
Or it's I want to finish this. It's how Yelena wanted to see kind of Zeke's world come to fruition, or even what Aaron ends up doing with her own eyes.
Yeah.
It could be that since he's decided to go down this path, he's going to be a part of it and finish it. I don't think I could see Aaron as a character just sending these Colossals on the mission and not being a part of it. I feel like he would want to be right there seeing it with his own eyes. I think he wants to face whatever he is doing, whatever he's creating, whatever turmoil and suffering he's creating. I think he wants to face it head on.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if... I think that's another question about the control of the rumbling. Does he need to be close, or is he there because he feels that is where he needs to be?
I can't stop looking at him.
It's like creepily mesmerizing. It's like in a horror movie where you're like so scared and so creeped out that you like don't want to look away and you can't move and you're like frozen. I feel like if I saw this in real life, it'd be hard to run. I would stumble over myself. I'd keep looking back. Like, there's no way, especially with the green eyes, that you don't just get like so frozen over this.
I'm just trying to make sense of it because we've never seen like a Titan moving the way he is right now with no flesh. And why wouldn't there be? Is it like he is like, I don't know, like is like what makes up Aaron being distributed onto the other, I don't know.
Here's some questions. He's obviously way taller. He didn't have to swim, did he?
I don't think he had to swim.
And what was the signal to all those ships that the Colossals were there? Was there steam coming off the water?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, could they see Aaron too? I mean, we didn't get to see if he was swimming, but I find it hard to believe that the rib cage was like, helping him in any way in swimming. It's interesting that we weren't shown that, because now I'm like, okay, curious. How did
It'd be
Aaron
weird
get
to
here?
animate though.
I know, wouldn't it? That's why I kind of like trying to figure out how it would have looked.
I don't know what we do. Like, I don't... There's so many of them.
There's more than I think I could have ever imagined. And remember like Armin's face when everyone realized that Aaron was using all of the walls and not just the one, and they were like, you don't need that many. You don't need them. Why is he using all of them? Like, he doesn't need that many. That is a lot.
I would love to see like a view of this from space. I want to see like
all the steam too.
Yeah, I think that could be a really interesting, horrifying visual.
They're really burning the world to ash almost to rebuild over top of it.
So let's go back to the beginning of the episode. The episode as a whole, I am really, really happy we didn't get this until now. And I'm really, really happy that we got this because...
At all, yeah.
Because I could see us never getting this because there's only a little bit that it really, really adds that they didn't necessarily need to add this in. But I am so glad that they did.
I think it, if anything, it definitely fills in some questions to the major question I feel like a lot of the characters are currently feeling is... Has this been Aaron all along, or am I just telling myself that he's changed?
Yeah.
Which is the main question. And obviously, I feel really great as a viewer for having now gotten to see what his reaction to the outside world was. Yeah. We only got to see once he'd been there, you know? Like, but I think it's a really, like, monumental moment to see what his first impression is first, because it's different when he's staring across the sea and he's like, if we kill everyone over there, then we'll be free.
Yeah.
And he's not visually seeing them. He's not seeing a similar view to Annie and Reiner and Berthold, you know, of what the truth is of like this outside world or this other world that they didn't know was a certain way. And he's seeing it all in front of him for the first time. And I'm really, like, glad that I got that.
Annie, Bert, and Reiner kind of did, right?
They probably knew from researchers or, you know,
well,
the
and
Marlian.
we got them, like, running around in the streets, too. Like, seeing Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, that was after they'd already infiltrated.
That's fair. But I think that once we first thought that Aaron was in Marley, I, like... had originally thought, okay, Aaron just like fucking came over here and like started getting to work. Mm-hmm. And I was really, I don't know, I put like 2 and 2 together obviously throughout the season of the rest of the cast being there as well. But to see all the different, to see how human everybody acts and reacts to these kind of things. And to see this kid being, threatened to be used as an example after robbing a place, robbing a person, and to see how our cast reacts to that. Levi like took him and tried to get him out of there, and it's like, okay, yeah, there's a civilization here, and there's a lot of goods and pros and ice cream, right? But I don't know.
I mean, what that scene showed to me is. That was a perfect example of the fear from like having such an immense hatred that they were like starting to. Not only was this kid a refugee, which they're probably like not happy about that, but it's also this new fear of, but what if within his blood is subject of Ymir, and now this blood testing is a thing, and they started speculating, well, we don't actually know, we don't know if he's an Eldian or like he has that blood. I
think being shown more of that helps me better understand, not at all agree with necessarily, but better understand the point that Aaron's coming from, because like there's a sense of paranoia that the entire world feels because of the history that affects their decisions today. Regardless, like the whole argument that the one dude was making, like, yeah, the Eldians here aren't actually like bad because they're just, you know, generational offspring.
Breeding, yes.
Yeah, and the the islanders, they're the evil ones, even though that they're also the same generational offspring.
It's like he was making an argument that the people, you know, it's funny because his argument is very in Zeke's kind of way of thinking, which is like not asking to be born kind of way of thinking, that these people were just, they were they didn't ask to have this blood, that was the Eldians that were interbreeding and forcing it on other people to create these offspring, and these offspring don't really have a choice and a connection to Eldians and that sort of thing. It's interesting because I feel like I wonder what Zeke would have thought by this speech.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Mikasa contemplating like what did I see in him? I wonder what I saw in him.
Mm-hmm.
And
if she had said something differently to him.
Well, that was later in the episode. From the beginning, it started off with Mikasa wondering what she saw in him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I'm thinking back to when Mikasa and Eren had that like emotional, almost romantic moment.
Yeah, that we were
like when
shocked by,
when Hans passed away. I don't know. It makes me feel weird. Like, it's hard to explain because going forward in the episode, outside of chronological order, when we get to the point of Mikasa being like, if I said something different, I don't at all think that's the case, right?
What was the name of this episode?
The name of this episode was The Dawn of Humanity.
See, last episode was retrospective, and I feel like this is like introspective. With like Mikasa.
Yeah, do you agree, or what do you think of her saying that?
I understand where she's like coming from, of trying to like figure out and unlock if she had kind of been in denial or blind to who Eren was from the very beginning. And obviously all of her thoughts there feed into the anxiety and fears she has later on, where after that conversation with Eren, she starts to believe that the only reason she liked Eren at all or followed him was because of this like protecting the host situation.
What do you think of her saying, like, or contemplating that if she had done or said something different in that moment, maybe things would be different?
I don't know, because I'm like, well, because I don't know if her saying something differently could have done anything, and maybe that's something that I need to like think on and spend time with, especially once we get into like Eren's lines to Zeke, when Zeke's like, no, I think she just did it because she likes you. I think that I need to like sit on what I think of if she had said something differently, and what could it have been to create a different reaction.
Yeah, I understand how Mikasa could feel like retrospective. No, but to feel like anybody in that position. I'm sure Armin, I'm sure Jean, I'm sure Annie, I'm sure everybody could think of if I did this different or talked to Eren different in this instance, could things have been different? Mm-hmm. You know, I think that that's natural to think, but it's interesting to see Mikasa's feelings in a show like this, and go in and out of it.
We're getting them at the same time. This idea of like, should I have said something differently? We're getting all of these thoughts at the same time as we're getting shown two characters that knew the truth of Eren, maybe even a few years prior, and what they said to him. Historia, for example, actually said something to him. She found out the plan, and she was like, this isn't right. This isn't a good, don't do this kind of thing.
Do you think Eren would erase everybody's memories of this happening? Because like his goal of wanting everybody to live happily, live and be happy. I think that I think that Aaron would probably consider, after seeing Historia's reaction to it, that others might feel the same way. Mikasa and Armin potentially included. And he obviously addresses the fact that he only has a few years left, so what's the point there? So if he truly wants everybody to live and be happy, would his plan therefore be wipe everybody else out, and everybody I don't have control of, and everybody I do and can affect their memories, I will erase the memories of all this happening so that they don't have to live with the guilt or history of, or knowledge of history of the devastation that was caused.
And the person to blame is dead.
Yeah.
The person to blame for all
but
of
they
that
wouldn't
is dead.
remember the
right,
person
I know.
to blame.
It's kind of like a complete closing of that chapter, that for him to die, I think he's thinking that the bad thing happens, the perpetrator dies, and then everything can start from there in complete peace and rebuild. I did think it was interesting to go back to erasing of memories for Aaron to almost agree with the king that started the island and erased everyone's memories. He did that so they would he erases a sin, or their thoughts of their memories of this sin, quote unquote, and who they really are, to live in peace. And it's a similar thing that he's doing or planning to do.
Like, it's similar in the, you can make a comparison of erasing memories, but like just all the war and violence, and death.
Erasing memories so that they don't know of a sin that they might blame themselves for.
Yes, just the precursor to it, where one moved to an island with
and the other is
making the entire world
off
an
of
island.
The island.
Yeah. I cannot believe that countries are, I can, but it's just kind of wild that countries are doing blood tests to identify if a person's Eldian or not. Like, it makes sense in the world that is Attack on Titan and what we've learned about Marley and stuff, but it's just kind of crazy to see that technology's gotten to that point and then they're using it at that point.
I think I also just didn't realize that the hatred I realized that it probably expanded outward from Marley in other places. There was probably this hatred to some extent, but not to the point where I thought other places would have that amount of fear that they would start blood testing. That kind of shocked me, that I was like, wow, okay, so the Eldians that live other places really are living like in secret.
Yeah. I wonder if the entire night of drinking and partying with the refugees, right? I wonder if that that just reinforced Aaron's ideas in the thought that, look at this. These are two groups of people who literally cannot understand each other talking.
Literally.
And they are getting along because if you can't understand each other's speech and talking, there's no history to compare. There's no, there's no preconceptions that this person is a bad person because they're a part of this race. All they see are each other's actions in the moment, in the present. And without all of that, oh, I hate this person because they could be part of this bloodline, there is a sense of peace, at least for that night, and that could potentially reinforce Aaron's idea of, okay, this is what I'm fighting for, a time or a place where nobody has to be bogged down with the, hatred that history has made them have. Not that that is a right thing to think or anything, but I'm wondering if that's what happened with Aaron.
Like, he sees and he spends this night with people who are in a similar place of they have been kind of torn out of their homes through war, and they obviously are not living the life that they want to be living. They are not completely free. They had, as Aaron would say, their freedom stolen. And for Aaron to see this and spend this night and make the decision to also kill those people that he believes are similar to his situation is an interesting choice. I know that he feels like he needs to kill everyone, and I think he probably realizes that if these people did know they were from the island, they would not have had this fun drinking night.
Yeah.
And I think we can be under that impression from especially hearing about all the blood testing.
I want to know when Aaron decided to leave
This conversation, yeah.
The conversation, because
Do you think we got any clues?
At one point I thought that it was when it like there was no like, you know, time where Aaron left until the second that we saw Mikasa turn around.
But there he is.
Aaron's here when Hanji is talking around the table, and I want to know at what point he left, because that could potentially influence, like, you know how in shows sometimes it's like, oh, they left and then there a conversation happened that we wish they could have been there for. So when Hanji's talking to them and she's like, yeah, but we came here to avoid such a future and for the subjects of Ymir's protection groups to debut in tomorrow's forum, which we see a little later. It's still not clear what that group seeks to achieve. Indeed, we'll be observing them first. At this point, we have Jean in the background of Hanji, but can't see Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
And Hanji's saying, but if they seem promising and agree to speak with us, you'll express that Paradis Island seeks peace. Yes. And I want to know if we see Aaron at any point after this. Because when the Azumabitos agree that like they're happy to help them go down this path, and then question if they're being realistic or not, or if they're just kind of having high hopes in this scenario, and Hanji's addressing that it's, you know, a crapshoot, right? It's like up in the air, it'll be difficult, it's a risk, it's a chance, it's a gamble. I don't know if Aaron's still here, because if I would want to know Aaron's reaction to Hanji being like, yep, it's not realistic, and acknowledging that it's like a shot in the dark, but because it seems like Aaron's already left at this point.
So if we're going to think about storyboarding, placement of characters, of if we have any evidence of when Aaron would have left the room, I feel like since we do not see him again after that one point, then I will assume that right after that he walked out of the room.
Agree.
Because why show a wider shot that his body's included in, and then from there on out only show like really more close-ups of different characters on the couches?
Yep.
So I'm gonna say he missed most of this conversation.
Or at least the second half. Yeah. And like he learned about the forum, knew that plan, and then didn't listen to the rest of what Hanji was saying. It's interesting. I think when do you think Aaron was like, all right, this is my, like, do you think he's continually throughout this episode putting things together to formulate his actual plan up to the point of him and Zeke having the conversation? Or do you think at this point he already knew and what he was going to do?
Maybe he already had an idea, that he was like, no, I couldn't possibly do that. But maybe his conviction is getting stronger and he's getting more evidence that that really is the only way to him.
At least in his mind.
And that could be it. Yeah. He could have already come up with it from that night where he talked to Flock after Yelena talked to him.
Yeah.
He could have already been somewhat inventing what he would plan to do. And his conviction is just getting stronger in that, and or he's just getting, more evidence that that needs to be the way.
He's looking up at the moon and he's crying when Mikasa comes to, you know, find him, and he happens to be where the refugees are. Mm-hmm. What do you think he's crying for? Do you think he's he's seen the refugees and he realizes that he's understanding that every person he kills, if he goes through with his plan going forward, isn't necessarily going to be evil or bad, and he just knows he has to do it anyway, or thinks he has to do it anyway?
I think that's a great point to bring up. It could be that he's in this moment grieving all of the lives that he will be taking, and that he's aware that he will be taking and stealing the freedom of innocent people. But he has already said to us and said to himself many times that he would rather steal other people's freedom than have his freedom stolen first. So I think that I definitely think it probably pains him to do this, but I feel like he thinks it's the only way and he's the only one that can do it.
I wrote it down right when it happened. Why does Eren ask, why do you care so much about me? And what do you think Eren's idea of himself is? Because part of me wonders if him asking this to Mikasa and then the conversation he has with Zeke is is originating from the lack of him understanding why anybody like Mikasa would be so caring to Eren, and him trying to like excuse it in any way possible of Mikasa just caring about him thinking if like it's within the bloodline or whatever, you know?
You could go that way with it, or you could also go the way of, if you think about what's currently happening inside Eren's head, where he is probably thinking on what he believes needs to be done and all of the horrible things he's probably about to do, that he could be saying this from a place that Mikasa would have no idea of until maybe now, that's maybe what he truly meant was, I remember when we get the line here, I'm willing to be like the most hated girl in the world.
Yeah.
And Eren is currently probably thinking about the fact that he's willing to be the most hated person, the number one enemy for people to blame in the world. And so he says, like, why do you care about me? It doesn't necessarily need to be a question that needs an answer, because he could be asking it because of how he's currently thinking internally. I think it's important to maybe bring up like his current mindset in how he might be feeling about himself, that he's about to do or planning to do something horrible.
If in Eren's mind Mikasa cares about Eren so much because he saved her, then that could reinforce the idea of Eren's actions here, because it's him saving her again and giving her the best life possible again. But I don't know. I'm just trying to think, like, if this conversation did go differently and this dude who can't understand what they're saying anyway heard Mikasa confess some sort of feelings of love or romantic feelings towards Eren, I wonder if Eren heard that, if he'd like be like in disbelief or like, no way, like, or that would just like make him have an expression that is anything but what it was, because he's asking the question for a reason, obviously, right? Like Eren doesn't just like talk without there being a reason for it.
If Eren knows that this is who he's been this whole time, he could feel that he is undeserving of someone caring about him more than just because he saved them or because of family. It could be that he believes that because of who he is and who he's always been, and what he plans to do in the future, since this is everything that's happened has been according to him, it could be that he, in this moment, is like, it's not, why would someone care about me, like the level of like romantic feelings or love? And if she truly knew who I was this whole time, would she? That could be a place you could go to. That is Eren realizing here that maybe people don't realize exactly who he is the way that he realizes it.
There's so much emphasis on like the question of, has Eren always been like this? And I think that, like, I could just be like completely off base here, but I think that it'd be easy to assume people are talking about like, or characters are talking about in that instance of, has Eren always been a deranged lunatic who's willing to destroy the world? And I think that that's selling the story short, or Eren short, because I think that maybe, at least, I think Eren's just always been willing to do whatever it takes to protect who he wants to protect or do what he wants to do. And I think that is what he's always been. And I have not once ever seen that change from Eren. I've always seen him be a person who would do whatever it took to save his,
pay whatever price to himself, almost sacrifice himself in order to make sure that no one else's freedoms that he loves will be stolen in the future.
We always like see Mikasa like coming in to save the day for Eren. But do you remember when we first saw Eren as a Titan? He's the one who saved Mikasa there.
Mm-hmm.
Mikasa had almost given up. Like, and Eren is almost, like, to Mikasa, a pretty big reason to live. So if Mikasa ever expressed that in words to Eren, then if Mikasa still had her memory and remembered Eren, and Eren wiped out the world and then died, I don't know if Mikasa would have much will or happiness in life anymore.
Maybe that's why he wants to know why she cares about him.
Yeah.
Because maybe that answer would tell him if she really could live a happy life without him.
Yeah.
And without him there. I still, when we talk about this idea where he is talking about erasing memories, I was so shocked when he said it, because the Eren that we got to know through season 1, and when he first learned of that was the first example, one of the main examples, other than the walls, of him feeling like his freedom had been taken.
Yeah.
And he's choosing for this plan to do something to everyone he loves that he was so mad about all those years ago. Which is just interesting to bring up.
It is, but like that shows the difference of the king who went to the island and Eren, right? Mm-hmm. Because they didn't do the same thing. And yeah, Eren did express that, but in the king's history, there were still people who remembered or could theorize that memories were erased. I think in Eren's potential future, nobody could ever, think that a memory was erased if he went about
because there's not the rest of the world anymore.
Yeah.
Like if the Ackermans are the kind of special element of, their memories don't necessarily get wiped kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
true.
So what would Eren have planned? Does he need to...
Oh, you're right.
If Levi and Mikasa are going to survive and or their bloodlines continue, then Eren will have that kind of fatal flaw that the island had, that there were people that knew.
So does Eren want to kill Mikasa, or does he feel like he has to?
Would Eren feel like he had to also eliminate the Ackermans? He's asking about the Ackermans at the end.
Yeah.
And I think he is wondering, could he keep them alive, but maybe because they want to protect the host? Like, I think he's trying to maybe figure out what to do about this Ackerman element.
Yeah.
Which is kind of scary to bring up in that way, because I don't even want to think about what some of the ideas of how do I fix this problem would be.
Yeah. So Eren left the forum right after the applause happened, which I think would be an idea that the entire world is behind the thought that the island is full of devils.
This was kind of the last hope of a group of people that might be able to understand or hear from them and side with them. Or respect them, maybe want to work with them. This was kind of a shot in the dark. They were kind of hopeful about it, but obviously Kiyomi was like, we don't actually know what their intentions and plot points are, what they're pushing. But it seems like that really was the last group of people that could possibly be a go-to, because obviously we know all the Eldians that live everywhere else are either rejecting who they really are, living in secret, they might not even know, or they're being treated horribly and also being read these history books in order to further their hatred toward, I want to be a good Eldian.
Everything comes out so right after about halfway through the episode is when we get I think Eren monologue, right? Mm-hmm. When did it all begin? Going back to like the first episode back then, and then we start seeing pigs, and then do you think the pigs are from Ymir? I don't know. Regardless, no, it doesn't matter. We see Grisha.
Oh, the pigs could totally be from Ymir, because that's why she gets singled out. Is because one of the pigs the pigs gets loose
Yeah,
or
that's what I was...
disappears.
So I think that could be what that is. And then...
His birth.
His birth. It's odd to me that we see Falco here. And then, but I get that is just, oh yeah, Falco was the messenger. He delivered the messages that led the rest of the scouts onto the island, into action.
That was probably one of the first major actions that influenced other people that Eren did once he left that day. Once he left that day, he went and he fought in a war and he cut off his own leg. These are all things he did to himself. But then once he got Falco involved, that was his first instance of hurting someone else after he left that day. And bringing them into this.
Everything comes after this. Then we get Yelena and Eren's conversation. And
we find out that Flock was actually there.
I did not think that we'd get Eren and Flock
actually having a conversation.
Yeah, it's wild to me.
We speculated that either Flock was making it up in an intimidation tactic of, yes, I knew this all along. Eren trusts in me and he tells me everything. We were kind of speculating of what Flock could be doing there and how lying could actually aid him if he was lying. Why would Eren be telling him?
I thought it was a really, really cool choice to have Historia and Flock's conversations edited together because it's kind of the same lines that he's giving both of them, right? Caring for cattle isn't the only thing that's been on my mind lately, but there's no need to run or fight. If it's our best hope for the island's survival, I'll go along with it. God, I love Historia. I'll destroy the world and all of its enemies. I'm going to wipe out every last one of them. Flock was probably this is the best thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
I think he probably was enamored. I think Flock is in love with conviction.
Yeah.
I think he really likes people that are really sure of themselves and determined. I think he finds it very attractive. I think
agree.
He's into it.
We felt a while ago that there had to be another conversation between Eren and Historia before all of this happened because
why did she get pregnant?
Yeah, and because of Eren standing up in the room and trying to defend Historia and her life. But to see Eren utilize after Historia brings up just like your mom, I wanted to read Eren's lines here because it's the
so
closest
good.
we've ever gotten to just his inner monologue since season 4 has started. The only sure way to end the cycle of revenge, fueled by hate, is to bury our hate-filled history along with civilization itself. What do you, are you gonna destroy every book that's history book that's ever been written?
Weren't books also banned? Armin's parents had secret books.
Yeah.
And is when he wipes the memory, I wonder if he's even going to wipe it all the way back to knowledge that is more Ymir time period, 2,000 years ago of technological, agricultural, all of that kind of knowledge that has been picked up over 2,000 years. What if he completely just reverts back even further to start over?
I won't let kids eat their parents anymore. That line hit home because that is literally what we've seen happening time and time again on the island.
And it's still about kids. Yeah. There's still this focus on kids in this episode, which is interesting knowing Zeke was so focused on kids too. The people that are born into this world.
If it's hard on you, just wait till I can erase your memories with the founder. You can because you're the worst girl in the world who saved me back then. God, right when that line hit, my mind went immediately back to the slapping of the syringe and the amazing music that plays with it.
And there was a still shot of her ripping I think the chains.
So good. And then we get the conversation between Eren and Zeke. Headaches? I've never thought that we'd... First of all, the whole Zeke coming down on the wall being Eren, your big brother's here. And then we get the two brothers talking about girls and crushes and Zeke's nah bro, she's totally into you. It's not because of her family. No. I never heard anything from Cassava or the researchers. It's interesting that he'd ask Zeke, It makes sense.
Zeke really is the person that knows more than anyone else
Yeah.
about the truth, maybe, of the Titan history.
Their powers awakens when their survival instinct is triggered. A reflex to protect their host? Was that just Aaron's best theory?
I doubt it's anything like that. Well, Zeke said that.
Yeah.
And he said it, like, with the inflection of the question mark at the end.
As if Aaron posed
As
it
if
to him.
Aaron had...
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, was that Aaron's best theory that he just came up with on his own?
Maybe. Or maybe it wasn't necessarily his best theory, but it was what he was worried about.
Well, that's why I asked earlier in the discussion, what do you think Aaron thinks of himself? Like, do you think Aaron thinks of himself and his relationship with Mikasa in such a way that it's not even fathomable to him that somebody would do so much for him without any other like forced motive or forced behavior?
Yeah. It's similar to thinking about power dynamics in real life. Like, if she really does see him as some sort of host that needs protecting, then a true connection can never truly actually be there.
Yeah. Interesting cutting, like, editing here. I think she just likes you enough to rip apart Titans for you. Go back to Historia saying, say, Aaron. And then back to Zeke saying, so what will you say to her? And then I think, what are you talking about? I've got 4 years to live at best. Do we go back to Historia? Yeah. What if I got pregnant? And then we cut to Aaron. Okay, so... Historia is saying, so what if I got pregnant? She did. We know that she did. So what does that have to do, like, with like, Historia's motive? And did that change what Aaron was going to do or say to her after that conversation happened?
That's a great question, because if Aaron's like, I don't want kids to have to eat their parents anymore, and then we go there into Marley, and Hanji is like, oh yeah, we don't want to have to, like, sacrifice Historia and her children in the future. I think it was Hanji that said it. It was someone sitting down. And so is Aaron okay with Historia getting pregnant here, or is this defiant?
Yeah, is Historia's baby part of Aaron's plan now?
Or is she doing this to go against Aaron's plan?
Yeah.
You know, that it really opens up a question there. And it's interesting because it's right after these lines of, I think this girl, Mikasa, is willing to just rip apart Titans for you. And it brings up, like, well, what are other characters willing to do for Aaron? And it kind of poses that question. Then maybe Historia is willing to try to stop him, willing to get pregnant to aid the mission, something. What is Historia willing to do for Aaron? Obviously something.
It's also interesting that we got that flashback to the Historia moment while he was talking to Zeke, because everything that he says to Zeke lines up with his, his act, right? But we're getting shown the Historia flashback, which involves her getting pregnant, which goes completely against Zeke's idea of trying to, they use euthanization, but it's more like sterilization. And Historia getting pregnant there would, be something that Zeke would theoretically agree with, but not actually in practice with what his future is.
Is Zeke more curious about asking things here and talking about Mikasa in this way because of the fact that he doesn't want Eldians to have more kids, and he's trying to gauge if Aaron has romantic feelings for Mikasa to the point of wanting to have a family with her?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think Aaron was just asking him because Zeke knows more about the history of it, and then Zeke was just like, oh, I love having a brother. Let's just
okay, because Aaron's line about, oh, well, I have 4 years to live at best, so it doesn't matter what I'd say to her.
Yeah.
I mean, because Zeke seems interested in what Aaron would say to her.
Yeah.
So that's why I posed that question of, does Zeke wonder at all about if Aaron has any romantic feelings that would get in the way of him wanting to do this plan?
Yeah. Where do you go? It's weird because we've stayed away a bit. It's not like I don't know. Like where can we go that you'd feel like makes sense in the terms of, like, an ending, or what will happen next, at least? Do you think that words alone And if Mikasa tries to say something different once she sees Eren next time, would change his actions?
That's a good question. We're having Mikasa in this last episode here reflecting on what she said, and if she had said something differently, would it have changed anything? And I think that is a great thing to bring up when we know that they're probably going to try something before killing him. They're probably going to try to say something. I mean, especially Armin would probably be like, let's at least try to say something.
Well, no, that is the plan.
Yeah,
and then if it comes to it, Annie obviously talked to Mikasa.
So like, what could Mikasa say that would possibly change anything? I do not have the answer to that question.
Would you be happy if word alone was what stopped Eren and his destruction of the entire world, and then what comes after that?
I think because I can't think of something that would merit him stopping.
Yeah.
I would at the moment feel unsatisfied if it could take something being said, because I cannot even fathom something except feeling something cheap. Like, oh, he really stopped after going this far over this one thing being said to him?
Because Mikasa says that she's in love with him.
Yeah, is that really... It doesn't maybe feel as, like, big. Well, I mean, love is big. But, I don't know, there's something about it that might feel a little bit like, oh, cheap or something. Maybe. But I can't even fathom what could be said to him that wouldn't feel like, oh, we're just trying to not kill him.
Like, I'm trying to think of all the different routes they go. Hell, I doubt that this series is going to continue for like a few more seasons, but I don't know. It feels like it's getting to the climax, but once we get to that climax, I'm thinking of like a show like The Last Airbender or something. Like, if we stop Eren, either by killing him or talking, what does that mean for the rest of the Eldians? What does that mean for the future of them, of the island, of our characters? Because wouldn't their whole hate and disdain of this race that's on an island be just amplified after the destruction that's already happened?
Yeah, like, you can't backtrack. Like, you can't undo what is done. So even if Eren stops midway, he's already destroyed. We just watched him actually destroy a port city.
Yeah.
So we know that no matter when and if he's stopped, there's still going to be major loss and major fear that would come from this.
Because the timey-wiminess that does exist in Attack on Titan doesn't exist in the sense that you can go back in time. It's through the Attack Titan and seeing its future holders. Right. So it's like... And you know what's crazy, too? How the Marleyans identified Eren as the Attack Titan. Like, it's him. It's the Attack Titan. He's coming. Like, I don't know. It's so interesting.
Is there any possible way that this story is going to... We're saying that we don't really know, can't even begin to think of a way to end things. Is it possible to put it out there, the idea, if we're like time and being able to affect memories, is it possible while Eren is connected to Ymir that we could go back to before Ymir gets this power? Is that even a possible idea to throw out there?
Based on the rules that they explained to us with the time thing and Grisha and Zeke, I don't think that that's a possibility. I don't think so.
It seems like an option to put out there, not because I think that it necessarily works. I don't know if it necessarily works or it feels good, but just because I could see it being a possible choice that I think I've probably seen similar choices be made in other media of like, oh, this is bad, so let's stop it before it starts kind of idea. Yeah. So that's why I put it out there, posed it as an idea for an ending.
I get what you mean. I just like based off of the rules of this universe, I don't see it fitting. If it did, I think it'd be a little weird, unless they just did another like crazy Attack on Titan twist explaining something to me that I should have known the whole time because I'm an idiot.
Or that you didn't completely comprehend in the way that it actually ended up working.
Yeah. I don't know. They've set themselves up for an ending that needs to be written that I seemingly cannot even fathom how, like, what they're gonna do. I don't know. Like, we've talked about not needing necessarily to know what happens with the world after this story, and I stand by that. But with that, you still need to end character arcs and characters in... You need to. Like, if you're going to end a series, you need to end them somewhere.
Right.
So I don't know where they'd be ended off. Like, where does Annie end up? Where does Astoria end up? Where does Mikasa and Armin end up? Like, what...
Right. I think Mikasa, if Aaron's plan goes the way that he plans it, and the last couple minutes we get is a show of a burn to ash world and all of the people of the island with their memories erased. If that is the last thing we see, then Mikasa and Levi are my only question marks of like, well, where, because of the fact that their memories will probably not be affected.
Yeah.
So that leads me to believe that that's like a loose end there, that I don't believe Aaron would like kill them.
We somehow get to a point where Aaron's dead and Mikasa and Armin already has like a, you know, time frame of when he's gonna die. Jean's dream ends up becoming reality.
And he gets
Jean
to marry
and Mikasa end up marrying each other. They have a baby. They name it Aaron. Just to fuck just to make me feel even weirder. I don't know.
Well, that's interesting, because what if Jean's dream was actually in just some crazy... What if that we saw that as a dream, but it's actually something that we're gonna literally see in the future?
Yeah, Aaron.
Wouldn't
John
that be
ends
crazy?
up getting the Attack Titan. Yeah,
and we get like the actual visuals, and they're the same.
You know, it's
if
weird.
It's by the same studio.
It's weird because it's like we can think of all these things, but none of them feel right. None of them feel like they would actually happen.
Right.
Which I think goes to show, like, holy shit, I don't know where to begin in thinking of what could actually happen going forward.
The hardest part of writing a story is ending it.
You're right.
So
there's nothing Attack on Titan's done to not like have me trust it. I mean, the last episode that's available to us, we got to see all of our fan favorite characters, Sasha included, dressed up in
looking great,
dapper wear, you know?
Even I would say that I'm worried, but I feel like not because...
Worried about what?
So I'm worried only because of how the endings for other media, movies, shows I've seen, that there's always like maybe a 50-50 chance that I feel satisfied with the ending. Oftentimes.
Lost.
But this show has not given me any evidence that I wouldn't feel satisfied with it. But because I cannot even think of what I would want to happen, that's why I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be something to see. Like, I am a little nervous or apprehensive about this.
Like, you know, like, so I just mentioned Lost, right? You know, like, obviously no spoilers in there for that, but you know how, like, the Attack Titan can see events of the future holders, right? And everything? Like, you do some bullshit where Aaron's still under the tree with Mikasa the first episode, and he's seen everything that's to come, and then chooses to go a different way, or like he sees everything, and I don't know.
I mean, if Aaron is the one, he says he's made all of this happen. You know, everything has been according to, like, he's the one that made this happen. Maybe that's a better thing than me saying we go back to Ymir. Maybe it's that we go back to Aaron at the very beginning, and that's an ending.
Where do we get the
But then I would want to see what the difference is. I would want to see Attack on Titan, but Aaron chooses something different.
Yeah. When do we get the line of, like, everything starts?
Oh, I don't know where it was. Was it when he was crying? Was it...
I thought it was when we got, yeah, it's coming up.
Okay.
I think.
Back then. Okay, yeah, in this conversation. We're under the tree with Mikasa right before the walls crumble.
Begin?
When did it all begin?
That's my question. Back
then? Pigs.
No. It doesn't matter.
matter.
Okay, we're being told it doesn't matter, but I want to see the line of Aaron saying everything. Everything happened by my will. Everything comes after this. It's interesting that we get the shot of the pigs in Ymir. Like, it almost makes me feel like, so, like, in a crazy fucking way, Aaron's the one who let the pig out in the first place, which doesn't make any sense, but I'm like
everything because it's overlapped with everything happened by my will.
Yeah, and it's
everything
like,
comes after this.
What
is the this referring to? What is the word this referring to? Is it that the pig got loose in the first place? Is
if you
this event that's happening right now?
If you have to track every event back to one thing that caused a reaction to have everything else in this universe and show take place, and you had to like identify one thing, my one thing would be the pig in the gate, because without that Ymir doesn't get cast away or blamed, and then that doesn't lead to the events happening. Yep. But I don't think Aaron, from the powers that we understand, I don't think that has any potential like connecting back to this.
No, we can only change human anatomy. We can't make it so pigs never existed. So
yeah, and that's what I mean by like, from the timey-wimey stuff that we have been told and given and how those rules work in this universe, I don't see that being involved in the ending. I don't think, at least.
I have no clue.
Yeah.
I'm happy that I have no clue.
Me too.
I mean, I feel a joyous feeling that I'm still, to this point in Attack on Titan, still theorizing and still speculating and still trying to understand and unlock characters. I'm still trying to figure out what's going to happen next. At this point, I still have this desire and excitement over racking my brain trying to figure this all out.
Yeah, it's just like, I know that we've been told by Noah that through like in between seasons and stuff, people had to wait like a year or years like to get stuff. I don't know where we are in relation to getting more Attack on Titan. What if AutoSave is gone by the time that Attack on Titan comes back? What if I don't know, like what if it's years from now?
If that's the case, I'm sure even when we watch it, we'll still discuss it.
But it's
in private.
Yeah, I agree. But when, like, for example, like when a show like Demon Slayer or something comes back, we haven't done reactions for too long. But even when you're away from a show for like 6 months and then it comes back, you have to refresh on certain things.
A lot of people rewatch before things come out if there's been a long time period between.
So I wonder where that leaves us. Like we said, we wanted to watch the dub. I don't know if we should do that on YouTube. I don't know if we should offer it up like we did here. Maybe it's like
does it fit in the time period that we don't even know what it is?
That's a great question, because if maybe we don't do it in the same way that we did it once through. We don't have hours of long discussions, but we maybe have like binge nights. Maybe we like have like wine and watch like 5 English dub Attack on Titan episodes like
in one sitting.
Yeah.
I mean, I highly doubt that we'll have as much to talk about upon seeing it the second time. We might say, oh, we noticed something that we didn't notice before.
We're already
I like this line a lot.
Yeah, we're already like, obvious. I think Attack on Titan was one of the things to propel us into, all right, there's no way we can use any type of social media ever. Like, ever. And from what I understood before we even started that, Blind Wave had took similar approaches, and I was like, oh, that seems a little extra. I don't go on anything anymore. I can't, like, and I'm thankful for that. And my standards of what I feel like I consider a spoiler are also different. And
also quality of life change when social media isn't as involved in your life. Yeah, so that's a perk.
It is.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, every once in a while we get to, I don't know, has the manga, God, I have so many questions. Like, if the manga isn't done.
Is it finished?
But like my train of thought, if the manga isn't is done, that means we can't read the comments yet, right?
Right.
From season 1, episode 1
some people
forward.
would know, yes.
Or there could be risk of spoiler. We have occasionally we can get a friend or a mod to help read through comments, but I don't think it's realistic to have them read through every episode we've done. So maybe if you guys are still listening in here, we could get somebody to read through these comments and tell us, okay, can we start reading the comments of AOT 1x1 autosave reactions or start like, okay, just spitballing a cool way we could do it's like, okay, let's watch episode 1 of the dub, read our comments for episode 1 of the dub of the sub that we watched. There's so many iterations we could do,
but obviously couldn't do that if there's going to be major manga spoilers in the comments.
I don't know, help us.
I mean, I kind of hope it's fully written just for the sake of an ending, not, you know, like there's been media where the source material runs out and then people go like crazy ways with it, right?
Yeah, like there are times where like an anime will catch up to the manga adaptation, and then instead of waiting for the manga to finish, they go their own route, like an anime only.
I'd rather wait.
Oh no, well yeah, of course, I'd rather wait
Even
as
if
well.
It's a few years,
but
I hope not.
Maybe that's why they had to wait years beforehand, and maybe we will. But I don't know. I
don't even know how old this manga is.
I'd say that the only thing that I could like even attempt to criticize about the series when it comes to manga and anime, like, because I don't know anything about the manga, but I know a decent amount by the anime from what we've watched. The only critique I could say is that once season 4 started, the animation was different. And that there are some episodes that the animation wasn't as good as it would have been seasons prior. But
and also there's a change to how people look slightly.
Yeah.
Like when we compared that shot we got of when we were going through memories and we saw a memory of Aaron interacting with his dad, and then we actually went back and found that same scene and like looked at them side by side.
Yeah. I don't know though.
Makes me wonder like the harshness of lines in the actual manga.
There's something about this show that like breaking the fourth wall a little bit. I often try to get into a headspace with other shows that we watch that I am similar sometimes with Attack on Titan. I feel like there's something about this show that forces me on occasion to like just not blink almost and just try to like catch everything I can in a scene, because there's so much intent put into what characters are doing, what background characters are doing, the songs that they're playing in the show, the reflections in a window, right? And there's such an attention to detail that has made me be forced to improve as just like a viewer of an anime. Like I'm watching an anime at the end of the day, but there's something about the show that makes me that's like the more I put into it, just watching, the more definitely I get out of it.
There's this if you close your eyes, something could slip through the cracks, like one little detail. And we've had that before. We've called upon it so many times. Bert Holt being like on top of the tower, like we missed that. And I wish we had seen it. In hindsight, obviously wish we had seen it upon first viewing the episode. But this show really, like, I don't want to miss anything. And I think that it's definitely made me, it's opened me up a little bit to watching other things in an improved and different way, because this experience has been so favorable. It has been so fun to actually like try to get everything out of it that has been put into it.
Yeah.
Like all of the intention. I want to devour all of the intention that has been put into this. Too. Because once I started doing that, I realized how much there was for me to get and how beautiful it was and how well it was done. Then now I'm like, I'm searching. I want to search for that in other places if it even exists.
I feel like I need to tape my notebook back together and like frame it in our house somewhere. Do you think like I'm pretty I don't know how to say this. So if we watched this show from the beginning in dub and we never watched it in sub, do you think we would have caught the Bert Holt thing?
It's possible. I mean, sometimes we're so focused on trying to reading comprehension that it's possible we could be missing some visuals happen, little nuanced visuals happen.
I'm not confident enough to say that I would have caught it, but I am more than confident enough to say I definitely do not notice as many details as I would if I was watching it dubbed. I prefer most of my anime sub, but and I wouldn't change that for the world. But they're definitely, you can't argue the fact that rather than not reading anything, my eyes are focused on a visual compared to reading a full sentence and then being able to.
I will say in pacing of dialogue and how quick the voiceover goes, I definitely have had a good experience in terms of reading and seeing the visuals at the same time. I have watched some shows where I had to stop watching it in sub because it was too much.
Yeah.
And it went too quickly.
Yeah.
And I think I read pretty fast. So I was like, oh, wow, okay, I didn't even get to see what was on the screen and or finish reading what was the subtitle before it disappeared. Luckily, the show has been really great pacing-wise with like reading and getting to see what's happening at the same time.
Feels weird,
doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't think that I don't think even a year ago or 2 years ago I would have ever imagined being able to watch an anime and talk about it and have this much fun talking about it and have people seemingly like watching us or listening to us talk about it. I don't think I ever could have imagined that. I'm really thankful for it.
Me too.
I never really had friends I could talk to anime about, and even though I'm only talking to you physically right now, it's never felt like my words are wasted, even though in my head, I'm always like talking horrible about myself. I'm not a confident person. And in my head, I'm like, nobody's going to listen to me. Nobody's sitting here for an hour and 42 minutes and 42 seconds wanting to listen to me and my significant other talk about an anime. And just like, it's hard for me to believe sometimes that anybody would want to do that. But knowing that at least one person has is just so surreal. And I've never really had friends that I could talk to like anything really like that about. And I'm really thankful for it. And it feels like we have like a friend group like that is anybody who would watch our videos.
Which I feel like a younger version of myself would have not even been able to understand or guess that for the future. I mean, closeted anime watcher in high school and in college, and then now I'm watching it with someone and joining in this community of people who also enjoy it.
Yeah. I used to awesome. Even before you and I met, I had this weird setup that in the place that I was living, I had my like computer desk and my monitor that I could play games on or browse on, but if you flipped the monitor 180 degrees, it was then facing my bed. And I would curl up on my bed and watch anime or movies, but I'd have like an extra long auxiliary cable so I could have my headphones on and fully be immersed, and I'd watch whatever I'm watching and like slow it down and rewind it and try to like pick up on the details, and I felt like such a fucking lunatic. I felt like oh my god, if anybody finds out that I pay this much attention to a fucking anime, I'm gonna get like ridiculed and roasted because that's just what I was used to. And it's just so surreal. And
now you do it for every single episode of all the shows we're watching. Pausing, going back, re-listening to lines, everything. Finding all the nuanced details in the visuals.
I mean, I think this, if there was one show or one piece of media that I had to show somebody that's anime, to show them how much intent and care can be put into a story, it would easily be this. Your dad has watched Attack on Titan with this. My birth father has watched Attack on Titan with us.
This show is perfect because for showing people, I would say especially people who were like, oh, anime, and especially older older people that are like anime, you know, but like really anyone, to really show them how much, like you said, like emotion and thought and like heavy topics are actually in what they would unfortunately probably sometimes say a kid thing, like a kid show. This is not a kid show. And then obviously my dad, we got him to watch it. My cousin got my uncle to start watching it.
Yeah.
That was a fun thing. My cousin like randomly found one of our videos.
Yeah.
Didn't even tell him I had started this, and he was like, oh,
anime is like obviously everybody says it and everybody knows like how popular it is now, and and great. But there are so many people who I still know because of where we live and the times that they're in or want to be in. They are so against like any type of storytelling just based off of the medium they want to use.
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a fucking shame, man, because like I don't even think you have to bring anime into a discussion in regards to how well written and one of the best pieces of media or storytelling Attack on Titan is compared to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you need to put it in its own group by just saying it's an anime by doing that.
It's a very standalone a piece of media. I think that it hits a lot of heavy themes. I think it does it really well. I think that it's easily digestible for people, whether how much they're going to put into it differs.
Yeah. And I don't think I've ever felt that this quick on return of if I could erase my memory and rewatch it for the first time again, I wish I could do it, because I already feel that way about the first 4 seasons of Attack on Titan.
I am glad that I halted on watching it. Obviously, my reasons for not watching it have now been squashed.
Yeah. And
now I think that it's broadened my view of like what would be enjoyable for me to watch in media. Obviously, Death Note, I wouldn't replace that memory, you know, of not watching it. I would watch it.
Yeah.
Even though I had put it off, and same with Attack on Titan.
I love this show.
Me too.
You good?
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hope to see you next time.
Whenever that is.
Whenever that is.